Welcome to the Rocking Your Role show with me, Jenny Garrett. Today I'm joined by Shamila Mhearban, and she is director of Gingko People. Now, Gingko People is an organisation that delivers practical HR support, people strategy, systems and compliance, and transformational change projects. I think we all want to know a lot more about what that means. So, welcome, Shamila. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm enjoying the weather. It's lovely. It's
It's pretty gorgeous actually for us in the
good.
UK. This show
Yes.
goes out in Canada on the radio, but it's also we record it and it goes all over the world. So we're in the
Oh,
UK,
wow.
and yeah, we've got a rare bit of sunshine and actually enjoying
Yes.
it.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
So tell me a little bit about what you do and what motivates you to do it. 'Cause, yeah, I'd love to know more.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm a director at Gingko People, and at Gingko People, my role as a director is basically to go out and speak to new people, bring on new business. But actually, in terms of the role that we do together, we're all part CIPD qualified, and what we do is we work with businesses to help them realise how, if they work collaboratively with their staff and with the individuals who are involved in their business, they can achieve very great things. And in order to be able to do that, you need to have aspirations that are shared across the business, values and ethos that are shared across the business as well.
Okay, so just in case people don't know, what does CPD qualified mean?
CIPD,
Yes.
it's the Certificate of Professional Development, Certified Institution of Professional Development, and it basically qualifies you to be able to go into a business and talk about what changes they can make along with their people strategy to make things work.
Okay. So tell me, did you always want to work in HR? Did you always want to do this kind of work and all run your own
I
business even?
Yeah, I always wanted to work with people. My background is very much from a recruitment point of view, where I was working with senior level individuals to help them find their next career path, if you like. And so I genuinely always enjoyed working with people, but as an extension of that, I really wanted an opportunity to make my own stamp on what I thought made up a good workforce, or what I thought made up a good working environment. And I feel at Ginkgo, we've to some extent created that with the clients that we work with, and it's really taking that sort of, I think big companies are already aware of how they should work, but it's really taking that employee engagement aspect to smaller companies and going, actually there's real value here if you were to look at this thing a little bit differently, as it were.
Fantastic, yeah. 'Cause there are a lot of things that are open to larger organisations. You always, I think, as small companies, you always think, if I had all of that resource, if I had all of that finance, if I had all of these staff, I would do this. But what you're doing is making it much more accessible to even, the much smaller companies. And I think they say, is it 90% of organisations are SMEs? There are a few large companies actually, aren't there? So,
Yeah, SMEs actually contribute. I think they say to 70% of the economy.
right,
It's, I mean,
yeah.
they really are an ignored market. And going back to that idea of that sort of the money aspect of it, when you have a big company, you have more money that you can sort of chuck at a problem. This isn't actually a case of saying there's anything wrong, or that you're not that, or that there's things going wrong in your business. What we're doing is we're going, actually, hang on, you did things a certain way, which is based in this idea that you have a very transactional relationship with each of your employees, that they come in 9 to 5 or whatever hours it is, and they come in and do the job that they're supposed to. Whereas what we're doing is going to smaller companies and going, hang on, have you looked at this in a different way? If you bring people into the projects that you're trying to do, make them feel involved, and genuinely communicate the fact that they can make a difference in the role that they're doing, no matter how big or small,
Mm.
what you'll find is a much more motivated workforce who want to work harder because they genuinely believe they can make a difference. And I think therein lies the key, because big companies have lots of individuals that they can pay to come in and really make sure that that change is done in an authentic way. With small businesses, I do sometimes think that the intention may very well be there. As a business owner, you may very well think, I want my staff to be motivated, and I want them to come in and be excited about what we're achieving, because I'm really excited about it. But then translating that into an actual process or action,
Mm.
that's the gap that we feel, because there's so many times where we sit in front of a business owner, or a managing director, and as soon as you start talking about this idea of an engaged workforce, straight away they go, yes,
Mm.
they get excited. That's what I was trying to create. That's what I wanted. And I do think there is always, I mean, it's natural that there's going to be a little bit of a gap, I think, between the knowledge of what you're trying to do and the reality of making that happen. And I think that's where Ginkgo people step in. What we do is we create a roadmap and how to make that tangible reality happen, rather than just this idea of, isn't it nice if everyone likes to come into work,
Yeah.
which is great,
Yeah.
but you need steps to make it happen.
I think it's really interesting, and it's making me think about the growing phenomenon of, women who are entrepreneurs. There are a lot of women stepping out of the workforce because it's not meeting their needs, or
Yeah.
they feel that the workplace isn't flexible enough, or women don't get to the top, or whatever that is. And I suppose what you're doing is helping. What you could be doing and helping with is sometimes that mismatch between what they want and what the organisation delivers. Because I think sometimes there's a bit of a breakdown in communication, and more could happen before people leave. Yeah.
I definitely think that, and it's interesting that you talked about business, about women business owners, and women who are starting out for themselves because for whatever reason the existing employer didn't fulfill what they wanted. That I find personally, what I found with the clients that we've worked with is that's where when I'm talking to a female business owner, they completely get what I'm talking about when I
Mm,
say an engaged employee, and more often than not, that's exactly the environment that they wanted to create.
mm,
But I do think that once again, it's all very well to kind of go, this is what I want to do, but everyone needs some idea of how to get there.
yes.
But that whole point of kind of going, well, actually, as an employer, if you're not going to give me the things that I want, I'm going to move on. There's a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of experience I feel that's being lost out on, particularly when women become mothers,
Mm,
and there's this lack of flexibility around working. You think to yourself, this individual's probably stayed with the business for anything from sort of a year to 10, 15 years, and all of that knowledge is being lost simply because their status has changed in terms of they've gone from a wife to a mother, or a girlfriend to a mother, or daughter, whatever. It's strange, but it's good that people are taking it in their own hands as well.
yes,
I'm all
exactly.
for that.
Yeah, I think it's both, isn't it? I think, actually, it depends why you leave the workforce, isn't it? Because you might just have always wanted to run your own business and follow your dream, and
Yeah,
that's fabulous. But if you're sort of leaving because you want to get away from something, sometimes that's not
yes,
such a good thing. It's, leaving to go to as opposed to run away from.
so
It's maybe
yes.
the difference it makes. So tell me, what sort of challenges have you faced then, starting your own business, being, you look like a young woman, so being a young
Yeah.
woman, embarking in this world.
The main challenge that I face, and this is actually probably something that I probably could do with learning from, is that a lot of the time I think when you sit down in front of people and you come up, you might have some great ideas, but actually it's all down to the application and experience and where you've done them before. And I think for someone like myself, I always, I'm a very much a can do person.
Mm,
I'm very much, that's the first thing. So I'll always give everything a go.
mm,
But I think when you're sat in front of someone else who you're trying to bring into your idea, you really need to show ideas and examples of where that's worked previously, or whether it's your own, whether it's instances with yourself where it's worked, or where you've taken ideas, obviously credit them to the right place, but say, well, in this example, it worked really well, and I feel that this is how we play it out here. The biggest challenge I face that I don't have much experience.
yes.
And actually, when you start talking, if you're talking sort of overall about things, they're very quick to say, "Oh, actually, but you haven't done that though. You're just
Mm,
talking about it." So for me, the big learning curve was this idea of having relevant examples of instances where gone into a situation and made a tangible difference, and being able to draw on that in and articulate that to a new person without coming across, if I'm completely honest, too salesy as well. Because I
mm.
think people can kind of, being authentic and being coming across as genuine, basically.
Yes, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
such a really good point, actually, that people face all the time. And I think, depending on the kind of work you do, it can be really hard to say, you want to say, yeah, people have had a good experience with me, but actually articulating it and showing the return on the investment
How?
with you, and yeah,
Yeah.
what difference it made for them. It can be really, really hard. In my work as a coach, sometimes that's really hard to connect to the bottom line. I know things are better, and but actually helping people
Yeah.
articulate the
Yeah.
difference it made, or putting that in pounds and pence, even sometimes is a challenge, but something that we all need to work on. So thank you for sharing that. And you're right. I suppose it
Yeah,
does give
yeah.
you extra credibility as soon as you're able to share your examples.
It's just, I think it goes back to this idea of when you are talking, it's a different way of looking at how you communicate as well. Because often I find that I'm very good at talking in a broad sense, but tying things down to a relevant example situation is very, very important. So I think when you're sat next to or when you're sat talking to a business owner whose problem you're trying to solve, they don't want to hear about all of the ideas. They want to hear about application, you know, and that's definitely one of the biggest challenges I face is having to communicate in that way and learning how to go, okay, well, what's the value, not the price, but what's the value of what I'm trying to say here, and how can I communicate that?
Wonderful. Yeah, love that. What's the value, not the price? Very, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
really helpful to anyone listening and thinking about that. Really, really brilliant. Thank you. So, any other challenges that you feel you faced, or is that the main one?
The other challenge is, and I think this is one that probably everyone can relate to, it's that confidence. I think when you
Mm,
first start something off by yourself and you're kind of going, you know, is this going to work? And having the confidence to kind of believe in yourself, if I'm honest. I think one of the things that really helped me was surrounding myself with positive people
hmm
who got what I was trying to create and could back me 100% on that. Because I think when you are trying to do something, for example, the employee engagement aspect and tool that we're using, I do think it's a relatively new way of thinking, and not everybody gets it. And I think surrounding yourself by people who don't get it, when your
hmm
confidence is already not quite there, it's all very well for what you put out to the world, but I think internally we all have moments, days, seconds where we doubt ourselves. And I think in those moments, days, and seconds, you need to really be able to turn around to someone who's going to sort of kick you up the bum a little bit and
Yeah.
say, actually, I believe in you, and you
Mm,
believed in you because of all of these reasons, and I get back on it.
yeah.
And I found that was one of those challenges, but I overcome it by having a very proactive younger sister who's
Ah,
very good at taking that role.
excellent.
So she's very good at kind of going, I believe in you, come on. And so
Yeah.
it gives it a little kick.
That's really great to hear that actually, and it's really interesting where we find our mentors or our support network, isn't it? Sometimes it can be your family, which is brilliant. I've spoken to people. Sometimes it's like a husband. Sometimes it's someone they've
Yeah.
sought who's in the industry, who's achieved more than them. But having that support around you or creating a networking group can be really, really useful, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
What role have men played? Have you had any male mentors or any men encouraging you?
I think people are encouraged in different ways. I
Yeah.
have a very straight talking father who,
Okay.
when I first started my own business, bless his cotton socks, said, Shamila, we're in a recession. Do you really think this is the wisest idea?
Mm.
And to be quite frank, I'm so glad he said that, because if there's one way of making me dig my heels in, it's having someone tell me that they're not sure what I'm going to do is a good idea.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he meant to. I mean, I'm sure he was meaning to be encouraging. He's been naturally cautious as parents are, but
Yes.
what he didn't realise is that's the one thing that kind of spurred me on even more. So I think inadvertently he probably did fulfil that role.
Woman after my own heart. The worst thing to do is tell me not
Yeah.
tell me not to do something. I go in completely the opposite direction.
Well, not even tell me not to do
Yeah.
it, but maybe tell me that maybe I'm not capable, or
Yes.
for whatever reason. And that's the bit where I go, right,
Yeah.
where's the heels and where's the ground? Because they're going in about 5 inches and not coming out until I'm done. So,
So,
yeah,
in terms of your life, because when you're working, running your own business, it's hard work, and it can be 24/7. I wonder how you get
yeah,
balance in your life, or if balance is even
yeah.
important to you. Is it something that you consider, or you're just getting on with it? What's its role in your life?
I think it's as much as first of all, balance is important. I think it's
Okay.
important to have balance, because I think you lose perspective when you're only involved in one aspect, whether it's professional, whether it's personal. I think you lose perception, you lose objectivity. To be honest with you, you need to have moments where you can then go away and focus on something else and come back. And I normally think that brings fresh ideas to the table.
Mm.
Having said that, I think there are always instances where things do take. So I have a boyfriend. We've been together for about 18 months, and we have this running joke how sort of every week. Sometimes he's my priority at the beginning of the week, but it might change as the week goes on. And I think as partners and as friends, we have to realise that sometimes we're not always going to be the number one priority in someone else's life, and this is the same for myself. But equally, there are instances where you have to put things aside and say, right, today I'm doing this, and that's what I'm focusing on. So to give you an example, this is just last week. All of last week, I was working late, and I was I had so much to do, but I booked dinner in with my younger sister on the Thursday, and I was supposed to be working late, and I did have loads to do, but I'd booked this in. So I thought, I could stay here and continue doing this work, but there's two things that are going to happen. I'm not going to be as focused because I'm already feeling guilty about the fact that I should be there. And I'm going to be annoyed with myself and not very happy with myself because I'm going, oh, well, I've had to stay here and stay here and do this work. And I think part of the pleasure of being able to, I think part of the pleasure of running your own business is that moment where you have to put everything down and go, right, I'm going to go do something social. I'm going to go spend some family time or some time with loved ones, and actually not beating yourself up about that, because we all need it. And I think when you beat yourself up about it, you're punishing yourself twice over. So sometimes just put it to the side, go out, enjoy the fresh air, let the sun sit on your face, and just go, okay, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
But
I love that point actually, and it really speaks to the rocking your role. That's the idea about rocking your role, really, knowing that you have so many roles, but actually rocking them, not letting them become a burden. And running your own business is great because we do set the rules, and sometimes we forget that. Sometimes it's like we have to, like there's someone else creating those rules, but we've created them. So if you find it is out of balance, we can change it much easier than perhaps we could if we were employed by someone else. So being a good boss to ourselves is part of it, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And I do think sometimes it's easy to, like you said, when you set the rules yourself. I think as a business owner, one of the qualities that you need to have is that, you are really dedicated and you do go hard at it and you do give it 120%, where perhaps, some other would go with 90% 100% is enough. You go that extra bit, but equally when you are going that extra bit, you need to have those moments where, and I have this trick. If I have something really special coming up, I'll write it in red pen in my diary, so that, and when I write it, I've written it in red pen, so that even later on I'll go, oh no, I'm really busy, I've got all this, and I'll think to myself, well, actually I wrote that in red, so that really mattered to me at the time, and it might not matter to me now because I'm sat at my desk, but it will matter to me when I'm lying in my bed, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I think, oh no, I missed this.
Yeah.
So I think it's, so I have like little ways of speaking to myself, to be stern, if you like, as well. If I write something in green, then it's take it or leave it, but if it's in red, it's not being crossed out.
Fantastic. That's really good. That's really great. It's a color coding system to make that happen. And I think, once there's more than that, isn't it? Because I think once you write, when you write, there's a process, a conscious process that's going through your hand, going through your body, which is saying this is important, and you're putting that emotion in there. So I think that's a really good way to make sure you do the things you want to do and be kind to yourself around them. Yeah, lovely.
And well, I was just thinking, I mean, how many times has a friend mentioned something, whether they've been out for a nice meal or something obscure. I remember there was an instance where I had a friend of mine telling me about this restaurant where you eat in the dark. And I know it's only a little thing, but it seemed like quite novel. And I got really excited about it. There was a 5, 6 of us. And I said, girls, we haven't done something different for ages.
Yeah.
There's a group of 6 of us that always used to hang out in university. Let's get this booked in. And I remember writing it down in red. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, I kind of looked at it and went, oh, it's only dinner, I can miss out. And this is the thing. And I went, actually, no, I've written that in red. It obviously really mattered to me at the time. I think we all do that, whether it's a friend, whether it's a sibling, cousin, family, colleagues, they'll talk to you about something and you'll go, yes, that sounds really great and really exciting. And then retrospectively, you forget that excitement, and actually having a little way of speaking to yourself and going, actually, this really mattered to you. Make sure that in the big scheme of things, when you are looking back and it's sort of retrospectively over the course of the week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you don't end up going to yourself, gosh, all I've done is just work.
Yeah.
Because as fulfilling as work can be, when it takes up spaces of 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's not as fulfilling. It becomes much more monotonous and much more like, I need more sleep.
Yes. completely. I so agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
so
I love my job, but
yeah.
I think it's important to have perspective.
I so agree. Yeah, I absolutely love my job. I'm really passionate about it. But I do, for me, feel that the time away is it just re-energizes and rebalances me. And also, there are other people in your life who are really important. And I remember one boss I had years ago just said to me, I used to work really hard, and I remember him saying, "You're so positive at work. You're so cheerful." He said to me, are we getting the best of you, or are you the same at home?" And it really did make me think, and I wasn't the same at home. I remember at the time I was quite grumpy because I was exhausted when I got home. And I just thought, yeah, he's right. That isn't the right way. There isn't the right balance. And I always kind of checked myself on that one.
That's
So,
a very perceptive comment to make as
yeah.
well as a manager. And I think, I work really hard, and
Mm,
I'd like to make sure. I'd like to think, and I do try to make sure that when I'm working and I watch other junior members of staff around us, that I am playing that role and to some extent going, "Hi, are we getting the best of you? Are you happy at home?" Or,
mm,
it's 7 o'clock in the office. Why are you still here? Surely
yes.
you've got things to do. And I think, it's really important for me, not only to make sure that I retain that perception for myself, but also actually when we're working with other people, have that as a culture that we're creating. That
Mm,
I don't want you to work like a dog. I
yeah.
don't want you to go home going, I'm exhausted. I
Mm,
want you to go home going, I'm tired, but I feel like I've made an impact, I've made a difference, and be rejuvenated as a result of that. Because I know there are instances where I've had a really good day here and I'm tired
yeah.
mentally, but I go home and there's a certain sense of exhilaration that comes from having a really good day. I
Mm.
want my staff to feel like that as well. So I do try to make sure that we pass that on as well. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. I was just thinking, actually, the way when you were talking about that, how much of a challenge that must be to just sort of land in organizations and suddenly say, "I'm the boss for a period of time. I'm here." You're constantly that new person, aren't you?
Yeah, constantly the new person. The way because when we first started out, that was the other thing. What we had to make a very clear distinction of for ourselves was: are we going in and doing the job, or are we empowering the person who's normally responsible for doing that job to have the steps in place to make that happen?
Mm,
And so it's not a case of going in there and going, "Hey, you want to create this type of organisation, or you want to try to create this type of organisation. We're going to help you make that happen," and then run away, and
mm,
then hopefully you're going to maintain it. It's very much about going, okay, so this is what you're trying to create. This is the things that you have to do in order to be able to get there. Let me explain why each of one of those is valuable and what impact they have when they're done properly
mm,
and when they're not done well, when you're just paying lip service. And
mm,
to give you a very broad example of that, appraisals, 6 month review with employees. There's, don't explain the value of it, and people kind of go, well, here's a piece of paper that you need to fill in.
yeah.
But actually, those sorts of tools are excellent at making sure that you are aware of what it is that your employees want to achieve, and whether that comes from a personal view or a professional point of view, and how you as a business are going to help achieve that. Because I tell you what, if you can say to your staff or to your employees, hey, you want to buy a house in 5 to 10 years time, well, guess what, we have a career path that's set out for you that in 5 to 10 years time will make sure that make sure you're in the right financial bracket to
Mm,
achieve that. You're not going to lose that employee to another company because someone's come around and offered to pay them a grand more,
yeah.
because they go, no, hang on a second, this employee's invested in my future. That's what I'm looking for.
Mm,
So having that balance, right, and with yourself, but also understanding on how that balance impacts your staff and employees and other businesses can help you then develop a strategy to then attract, train, and retain the right staff in the business as well.
fantastic, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, you've sold it to me. In terms of just thinking
Yeah,
about
yay! I
yeah,
think it's great.
yeah, moving away from transactional relationships to things that
Yeah.
really matter. So tell me, do you have any tips for women in business? You've shared some great ones already, actually, writing in red in your diary, actually getting the balance right. But if you've got do you have any other tips you'd like to share with us?
I think these are tips. All of these aren't tips where it comes from a lofty place of, oh, we should do. These are all tips that I've found have worked well for
Hmm.
me. And,
Hmm.
the first one is never get involved in something you don't 100% believe in.
Yeah.
And this goes back to that idea of, if you want to be able to be credible and authentic and genuine, I think that you need to have something that you do you believe in, whether you're selling cardboard boxes, whether you're selling, intellectual property, whatever it is, you have to 100% believe in it if you're going to back it. And if you do get 100% involved in it, and you decide to back it, then do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. It really is as simple as that. And from once again, from personal experience, I've found that it's not about not ever getting things wrong. It's not about being perfect. It's just about actually realizing that the people that you're dealing with, need to have trust in you. They need to be able to go that this is someone that I can trust with my business or trust with any small or minute thing. And it's doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And that actually works wonders. And it keeps people coming back to you as well.
Yes, yeah. I think really reiterating that, doing what you say you will do. I think sometimes people really overcommit
Mm,
and underdeliver, don't they? And
mm,
it's just, yeah,
yes.
people respect you if you can do what you said you will do and actually deliver it. So absolutely love that. Really,
I'd
really important.
rather I'd rather say that I'd under promise and over deliver
Yeah.
than over promise and under deliver, because I think that's the worst way round you can do
Mm,
it. You always mismanage people's expectations.
yeah, and reputation is key, isn't it? Really, so you don't want
It
people
is.
saying you're not a person who doesn't, you're a person who doesn't deliver. That's never going to be good for your business. And I think, yeah, I think when we had a little chat previously. You were saying that word of mouth has been a key for your business growth, hasn't it?
It has, and people see through. I think people see through you when you're not being genuine very, very
Mm,
quickly. And I think on the flip side of that, that when you do something well, no matter how big or small, people are very quick to kind of give that credit to you and
yeah.
say, uh, you know, this has been done very well. But it people do talk, they do, and I
Mm.
think being genuine is very, very important.
Okay, so unfortunately, our time's running out already. It goes
No, that's okay.
so quickly. So,
No.
tell people how they can get in touch with you. How can we find out more about you? How can we find out more about employee engagement and the HR services you offer? What's the best way to get in touch?
Site. So the
Oh,
easiest way to get in contact is on the website, which is www.ginkgopeople.com. And you can also get in touch with us via the telephone number that's on the site as well. Or if you fancy emailing, it's hello@ginkgopeople.com. And I will more than happily say hello back.
brilliant, brilliant. So, any last thoughts, words, anything you want to share, or is that okay?
No, 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 that's great. I just wanted to, I suppose I want to put out there, just if you think maybe I want to always give this a go, don't let it be full of regrets. Give it a go and see if it happens. If it fails, it's fine. There's always things that you can go back to, but don't be scared of taking that leap of faith, I suppose, because that's what I did. And I've not looked back.
Fabulous. That's wonderful words to end on. We so appreciate your time, Shamila. Please, everyone, have a look at ginkgo.com website. It's full of resources and information, and get in touch with Shamila. As you can see, she's full of life and full of knowledge as well. Thank you so much, Shamila. You take care.